all right, cool. This part two. So yeah, so I was always a renegade. I didn't care. I didn't care what, and I still don't care, what people think. But those were the days, right, Drew? You couldn't be into comic books and all that other stuff. So,
The interesting thing about that, though, are we recording? Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
Okay, we're going. So, to continue where we left off, there's at 30, I'm 38. How old are you? 7?
4.
Come on, man.
I'm not doing it.
It doesn't matter. It's like, who cares? We're safeguarding people's vanity now. All right. So at any rate, I'm 38. I'm near my 40s. I'm getting like elders like tier. Corey, how about yourself?
Same age.
Same. Okay. So we're reaching that like elders kind of like spot in our lives, right?
The ancestors.
Yeah, we're getting on that part. But it's the idea that as kind of the older ilk, I do remember a time where it's like it wasn't cool to like what I liked and to be who I just innately was inclined to be. I was raised in environments that are both the suburbs and in urban environments, raised in the hood and in the suburbs. So it's like you get mixes of both coming up. And yeah, I remember a time when it wasn't chic to like comic books. When liking Black Panther, I had to hide liking Black Panther because when I brought him up, other kids used to call me an African booty scratcher. Y'all remember getting called that for liking anything?
Oh, the worst thing to be called.
Yeah, it made you feel crappy about it. So it's like, all right, I'm going to still like it because that's my guy, but I got to keep this part of my personal Black experience to myself.
And Drew, we met years ago. Our first conversation was talking about music.
Music, yeah. Yeah, it was on Afropunk, which was, before it got, conscripted by the woke mob, it was, sorry, but that's what that happened. When it was about music,
right?
It was me and you met because we were like a couple kids that, Black kids that like rock, right, which was anathema in sections. It's funny because musicians that I know, I come from a family of musicians, all of them appreciate music, right? But it's like, if you were the Black guy that liked the music, there was something a little bit off about you.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to be white, and it's like, no, dude, that's just I like the thing. My dad was the same way. I got it from him. So in modern times, when it's like the whole culture argument, it's become very strange. There's this really weird regimented way where everyone's trying to act like, no, this was always this. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
No.
We weren't always this accepting of varying cultures, and I like it though. This isn't me just speaking disparaging on the idea of us, like, the contention. The contention can be there. Y'all want to be dicks to us, be dicks to us. But I like that there's more of us nowadays who are actively we congregate, we talk,
right,
we form our own group. You were saying, Seven, there's like more Black conservatives now.
I'm just saying that there's more of everything now, and not to say that these Black people didn't exist before, but everyone's in the shadows. So you have the conservatives in the shadows. We got I like the anime in the shadows. You got I like rock and roll. I like punk in the shadows. And guess what? The reality is there are Black people that want to be white. There are Black people that just everything. It is what it is. Those people do exist.
Cooning and bedwenching is definitely a thing, right? But no. I'm not like acting like that's not a section. But here's my thing: if we're all going to be on the whole tribalist thing, because there's going to be sections that it's, the idea that if there's going to be sections of people that represent this aspect of the culture, as it were, all right, that's fine. I'm not saying that shouldn't exist.
Right.
If you're like going to be on that whole street tip, do you?
Right.
But if you're also going to be like on the nerd tip, right? If you're also going to be on like the film tip. Or like the conservative tip, or whatever, your little cooning bedwenching tip. Y'all do you, and each one of us can either associate or deal with each other or not deal with each other as we see fit. That's fair enough. It's live and let, right?
Right.
It's fair enough, right? If we can't all agree, all right, let the tribe walk and do their own thing.
But you know what's funny about that? Kendrick made the blackest Super Bowl halftime show in history, and we are tearing it apart because it was too Black. So what really are we saying? It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
if you go into
you said too Black, but I think the point again that he's making, or even like the time that you chimed in, is also the energy of contention which is people reacting, say that it's too black, and they're like, "Well, I'm black, and there are other parts of blackness I want to see," and and again, he is who he is as an artist. Also, you got to remember his label. There's things that he has to do. There's things that he want to do. But to bring it somewhere else, we as people want to see, like when Prince or Michael Jackson did the Super Bowl, that was something else. But it was also this thing of black excellence. Like, we don't want to always glorify our pain and our struggle, and we're struggling and we're struggling and we're struggling and racism and we're beaten down, and like, yes, it's important to wake people up, but it's also to be like, we're not stuck in between this. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, there's more images and thoughts and feelings and emotions that need to be out there.
There's a spectrum of portrayals that you can have black people presented as, I think, is what you're getting at. Seven,
Say it again?
There's a wider spectrum that you can present us in than just the one or two, right?
Right.
The athlete or the rapper and the struggle and the trauma.
Have either of you seen Kendrick's music videos?
Keep going back to Kendrick. I'm trying to move away.
No. I'm at the last point. Have you seen the music video? Because this is something else, right?
Which one?
I'm not sure what that one was.
Squabble Up. It's one of his newest songs.
No, I probably wouldn't. No,
so if you watch the music video, it's a homage to the roots and everything that is pre-hip hop, right? So like you said, there are many different aspects of the black experience. What these music videos and what is being pushed on social media is always that clash. I feel as though when we talk about us as a community, we try to get to a place where, again, it's communal. Everyone is accepted, right? But then we get to this point where there's a clash. What's accepted? What's not accepted? What's being gatekept, so to speak? You know what I mean? So why is it that we can never come to a general consensus or what is black?
Because you're going to have differing opinions, differing on their circumstance. Like,
right.
We're not just going to sit down and be like, okay, this is the uniform, because then we fall into a monolith. If everyone's agreeing on what is blackness versus what is not blackness, then you're just going to have just the samey.
But this also goes to my point, right? So if this is black experience, and this is black experience, and this is black experience, why can't we just all accept and say, you know what, that is part of us, we accept that. That is part of our community, we accept that.
I don't think anyone discounts, but ever since Boys in the Hood to now, it's been like that's it. That's constant. We've constantly seen the same BS as this is black culture, and there's a certain percentage of people, myself included. I'm done. I'm tired. It's almost like you want to unplug, because if I plug in, all I'm going to see is this ratchet stuff. And not to say that I didn't live in a place that was ratchet. I lived in different areas, lived in the suburbs, lived in the city, and everything is real. Everything is real. Nothing is necessarily fake, but I want to see more than just this one path, this one image, this one circumstance over and over and over again. It's like I had enough. Show me something else.
Right.
I hear you, Seven.
Yeah.
I also hear you, but again, what really have we, I guess, aspired to past the 90s? 90s was what? Gangster rap, right? 80s was crack epidemic. 70s was civil rights movement. What have we done in 2000s going forward?
We pretty much have been stuck. We've been stuck. We've been stuck with looking at our heroes, the people that we looked up to, because the reality is, you could name a bunch of rappers. I won't do it, but we got caught in this little, this like if you turn the dial, everyone knows the TVs, they had dials. If you turn the dial, we just got stuck on this one station. But this is why they say the 80s like mid like I thought 85 to 92 or 85 to someone will argue even like almost 95 almost is the golden era of hip hop because you actually had you had the gangster stuff, you had the party stuff, you had the I'm an intellectual, you had the I'm talking to, I'm a player. You had a rainbow of hip hop styles. And first of all, everyone had to be unique too. Everyone had to have their own rap style and their look and their vibe. And you could say, "Oh, I love hip hop," and say, "Oh, when you say, oh, I love hip hop," you had all that. You had that rainbow that you could embrace. And now it's not. It's like here's this one beat, one vibe, one message. In general, is there one or two people outside of that? Yes. Is Kendrick outside of that? Yes, to some degree, yes. But again, and I don't want to be a Kendrick conversation because I don't know that much of his work. There's some of it I appreciate. There's some I think is that's cool. But when I'm talking about hip hop in general, and even saying that is kind of ignorant because this going from this conversation of culture, it's amazing how it quickly goes to hip hop. But there's more to our culture than hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We have a lot of black metal bands. We have a lot of black rock, a lot of black alt music. Like right now, there's a female called Doichi. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
I heard
She
her.
just won a Grammy for her album called "What Alligator Bites Never Heal," and she's very different. But again, once you start building up or getting to that level, like, oh, this could be a black leader of the movement, or they could be the voice of our generation. We kind of take the people
You're
down.
already, Corey, when you get to the part of taking a good musician and trying to hoist them as a symbol of the entire culture, that's I think part of the problem. People need to stop trying to look to idolize every single music artist because they had a good album. That's part of the celebrity worship.
Wait,
That's celebrity worship. That's like, okay, she made a good album. She can now be the symbol of all of us. That's the monolith thing again. Stop doing it. That's the problem.
So how do we come together when, again, the message is who's going to be a black leader or who's going to propel?
Stop looking at every single black person that has a talent as a black leader. That's the problem. Stop that. Just let them be a good musician and do their thing. Everything can't be a message and making everyone the next leader of Wakanda. Stop. That's the problem. That's the problem. I'm sorry. Stop doing that. Why would you do that to Doichi? She's like, how old is she?
Mid-20s.
You're trying to put all that type of heat. You're going to be the next leader of the entire movement on a chick in her mid-20s who's still coasting off all the attention she's getting off social media? Really? You're going to set her up for failure like that?
Not failure, but
that's
think
not
about
fair.
how old Dr. King was, or
That's
Malcolm X.
different time, different, and also he was Dr. King. With all due respect, and I hope I'm getting as many things as correct as possible, but he was groomed as a child to be a minister and to be a leader. He was groomed for that. Like, you know what I mean? His whole life.
With the term grooming, Stephen, because you know how people nowadays, they don't
Oh,
know
wow.
what it actually means. They just get triggered.
That's
Yeah.
I
right.
heard groomed. Oh my God, cancel MLK. No, don't. Yeah.
Right. But that's totally different.
That's my thing, though. I think that's where we're kind of, not to jump on your point, Seven, but
Yeah.
people need to stop having a chick in her mid-20s talking about because she had a good album of the year, now she can be the leader of a whole movement.
Not movement, but I'm just saying, like you were
culture.
saying.
Stop. Yeah, a decent music artist doesn't need to be our every leader.
Besides music, what's the alternative? If we don't look to these people who are, again, getting out there in the community, what's the alternative?
Besides the one you mean besides the doctors and then people who actually go out and build stuff, we need to just focus all that on celebrities and people that make music. Come on, man.
And sports too, because that's a problem too.
Sports and rapping, sports and music. There's other avenues. That's where I see where Seven's point's coming from. There's other avenues. People who are actually in politics, maybe. People who like your congressperson, maybe, if they were in the field.
Again, that's the point, right? If they're not in the field, if they're looking at it as a job rather than a service to the people, why would I give this person any of my attention?
You have people no. I don't think. Well, okay, let's run with that. Do you think that that's the goal of every musician when they wake up? How am I going to be of service?
I'm just saying no. But if some people do take up that mantle, like again, we were talking about King. I guess the consensus is, the question is, I've heard this a lot. We have no black leaders, right? Would you agree with that statement?
Black leaders.
There,
No, I don't actually agree with that.
I don't agree with it either.
What tribe black folks you're walking with? If you're Muslim, you do have leaders. If you're in hip hop, your leaders are going to be. Who would the leaders be considered in the hip hop community? I don't know. Whoever that they're constantly looking to for advice, because I can't really weigh in on that.
This is actually a really great conversation, because we have seen many, even people in sports, that have tried to step up, and I'm glad they did. I think that's brave, and try to be political randomly and this and that. But the thing is, there's a certain amount of responsibility. You just don't just jump in and, now I'm going to tell you what y'all need to do. Whoa.
I get with the idea. If someone is apt to it, if they show up like an ability to lead people in that regard, sure.
Right.
Where my point of where I disagree is stop looking to every talented musician or athlete as the next leader. We don't have leaders. All right, I get it. That doesn't mean let's look to every celebrity that we can. It's, again, the next level of celebrity worship. This person made a good album. Now they can represent this whole section of our community. You're setting them up for failure. That's the culture of narcissism that's bred in there, because now this person has like a big head, because you're putting all that weight, all that responsibility, all those accolades, comparing them to MLK in the same breath, mind you.
Right.
And it's like,
that is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Y'all did it. Run the tape back. Don't even take my word for it. Run the tape back. You just sit up there, Doichi, and then the conversation goes to leaders like MLK. It's like the fact that we're even comparing the two is off. Right. People need to stop doing that. Stop looking at every celebrity as a potential leader.
I hear you, but I don't think that's actually the goal. The goal is, again, unification. We say Dr. King because he was probably the last person to try to bring unification in the black diaspora, right? So,
even though I don't agree with everything this man is about and what he has done, but Jesse Jackson tried to do that. Also, Al Sharpton tried to do that. Again, he's not a perfect person, and he's got issues and this and that, but he tried. I mean, he was in a better position to try than trying to, because you know what? I think maybe, even though I do agree with a certain percentage of everything you say, Corey, believe it or not, but I do think maybe that's why that gentleman on Instagram had the reaction he did towards the halftime show, because people are trying to make this thing have this life that like the world should have changed and everyone should have been affected in this ridiculous way when it was just a performance. And you know what I mean?
I agree with you.
And trying to make Kendrick Lamar now like he's the voice of a generation. Like, it's that, one, no, but two, to your point, Drew, that's a lot of pressure to put on. I just say he's just an artist, because artists are very important, but it's a lot.
It can't just be a good performance. It's got to be like, this is the next big motion in civil rights. I'm like, no, dude, just let it. Don't do that to that person. Don't put that type of heat on.
That's the other side, right? Like, we're giving a lot of criticism and breaking things down. Don't do this. Don't do that. What should we do? What is the answer? I mean, obviously there is no answer, but what should we try? How do we solve this one issue? How can we come together? I don't think people are really focused on that aspect. We try, but we don't really get there.
You know what's interesting? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just going to say, you're never going to have everybody in united front, all of us going, we are the one. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
It's just not. For one reason or another, people in the hip-hop community and one conjoined community, they don't agree. This is just the human condition. People that are all gathered, you're never going to have everybody unite, as a wise man once say. You're not going to have everybody form up like Voltron 100% of the time.
Right.
Tribes are going to be tribes. What?
I disagree with that though.
Okay, well, we're still talking about how do we unify people years and years later. It ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You can
Also, also, it depends. Also, like
can
for
let people
instance,
coexist. I
Mhm.
think there should be a natural letting people exist.
but also if you're a fan, you're gonna also get a certain reaction to pull back too. As an artist, you should know. You shouldn't be so blinded to think everything you do is brilliant. I think that's a danger that we build some of these young artists up. Oh, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're a genius. Then they go into this, well, I put something out, you should just love it. I mean, that's kind of what Kanye's kind of going through.
Or no, better yet, I put something out. Everyone think like this now. This is the culture. Because
Right.
I had a good album.
Kanye, perfect example.
Okay,
With
yeah,
that
well,
statement too. Like, you know, and then everything you do is not going to be brilliant. Everything you do is not going to be a cultural shift. That's just unrealistic.
It's an obscene amount of pressure to put on someone for
Right.
just making like music.
Right.
How you can change the entire culture with some music. Like,
I think I'm looking at it as a different, from a different perspective. Because if you were, let's say, from Germany, right? And no matter where you go in the world, you meet another German person, you click. You're like, this is my person. This is my culture, my people, right? There are a lot of communities that come together because of the sameness in that community.
Okay.
The conversation comes to the Black diaspora. We are so spread out. There's so many facets of us. Why don't we come together like the Jewish people did, or the Armenians who went through a genocide, or Native Americans? Like, these people form communities, tight knit communities. But when you start looking at the Black community, like you're saying, there's this part of it, there's this part of it, there's this part of it, but there's no real unification.
But you know what? That's
Why
also,
we have
you know, there's which I do would maybe a whole different show. You know, there's like relationships things and statistics and what relationships survive and this and that, and someone throws out stats and then someone throws out stats that are totally opposite, and it's a lot of it is BS because there's this narrative where everybody else gets along but us, and that's not true. If you actually
that's not true.
talk to
True.
people
That's
within the
not true.
cultures, they'll be like, "Oh, if you're in the, if you, there's the Middle Eastern Jews don't get along with this type of Jews, don't get along with this, and then the Asians, this particular country doesn't get along with this country, and the humans don't get along with
Yeah, we
humans."
don't like this person. Yeah, to your point of two German guys, Corey, okay? Two German guys who meet up, they're not going to automatically just be friends because they're both from Germany. This guy's from Dusseldorf. This guy's from somewhere else, maybe closer to Eastern Europe. They may not get along because of those reasons. It's not a guarantee that there's going to be kinship just because they're the same.
Right.
That you can't put that type of like expectation on Black people and again make us into a monolith because we're all the same. Like no. When there's shared circumstances, sure. There's shared features, sure. But we're not. It's not a
The funny
guarantee.
thing about that is,
because of it.
I've seen both sides of that. If you're from North Germany or South Germany, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to be connected. But I have seen people stand up for someone else because they identify that, you know what, he may be wrong, but he's German. You know what, he may
I've
be
seen
wrong,
that. That does exist.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
That does
you
exist.
can
Yeah.
also,
we do that as well. The Black community does that as well, even if that person is wrong.
but I'm seeing a lot of like look at Kendrick right now, like you're saying.
But you're
A lot of
sticking up
people
for
are
him.
I'm sticking up for. I'm being the guy, but why am I the only one?
It's crazy. No, not even to go on Kendrick, but like there's people that still are sticking up for Kanye, and Kanye is absolutely insane.
That's
I still
true.
see people trying to defend Kanye, and I'm like, dude,
Right.
really? Still?
Right.
I
So,
will defend Kanye. I will defend Kanye.
all right, Corey. Okay.
For the simple fact, right? For the simple fact, I'm not going that far. But if I know somebody has a mental illness, am I going to take everything that person says at face value? If I know you're not on your meds and you say, "Oh, the sky is purple," I'm going to try to agree. Like, yeah, the sky kind of is purple. No, I'm not going to do that. I know that you have a problem.
I think
I'm going to try to help you address your problem and go from there. I'm not just going to,
So there was this
agree with you
meeting
just because
talking
Okay,
about.
let me
Okay.
let me take just this one little point.
Yep.
So there was a time when Kanye was doing his thing, and everyone wanted to make him the face of the culture. Do you remember this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to do this, to your other point of well, if not, why not? Because we could find out that person that you hoist could be absolutely insane. Be careful. Be careful with the titles that you erect, man, because they could just be psycho. They could be off their meds.
He was on his meds before, but once he started getting off his meds,
But don't lose the point.
That's not the point.
The point.
The point is
no. The point is also like you said, people change. So if I'm going to say, yeah, this is my person again, Martin Luther King Jr. changed. First, he was nonviolent. People forget at the end he was violent, armed. The districts of what were they called? There was a black group that went around with guns who are the Deacons of Ministry. I think that's what they were called. And then you look at Malcolm X. He was, eye for an eye in the beginning, but he changed into nonviolence, right?
Well, also to be fair with that, they were allegedly marketed as two extremes that eventually came to create some sort of balance. So it's not like they switched polar sides. They just created more of a balance of ideology and ways of doing things. There are more
shades of gray between both men than lots of people realize. When you read their actual histories, they're at best moderate by the end of the day when it comes to their stances. They're not. They start off as kind of in two extremes, but not as much as people would think.
Right.
But the point I was going to say is, if somebody's for, if I'm going to look at this person, this person is a leader. He's doing great for the culture, and then he starts stepping on the culture. I'm not going to continue to support that person. People are going to change.
I think that should have been taken into consideration before you put that person to a leadership spot. And I'll just say again, Kanye, Kendrick.
How do you know somebody's going to change? How do you know somebody's going to change?
That's why I say be cautious to people that you try to put on that pedestal. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Be cautious.
Right. Also, the thing is it's true that people can change, and we don't know personally who's on medication, who's not, right? but you can see, and again, nobody is perfect. Anyone could fall from grace, right? But if you see someone constantly reading to children, collecting food and doing, you see some sort of pattern and work ethic towards, as well as they happen to be a singer or a poet, you could be like, all right, well, you know what? I could push you, I could exalt you a little bit because I could see that you're earning this, you're doing this, you're about this. This is you. It's not just, oh, you did a really good album. There's nothing else that you could attribute to this person. They have no kind of education, and it doesn't necessarily mean they have to have a bunch of degrees, but there's no life practice, life exercise to say, oh, hey kids, you need to be like that person. It's very dangerous because even when it comes to the youth, you start telling all these kids you need to be like Kanye, and then they grow up saying he's genius and I want to be like him, and then he's parading this woman around and I'll leave it there, and he's doing all these random crazy things. But you just told a whole generation of children you need to be like that crazy person.
Yeah, the saying is, forget what they say, watch what they do. And don't be so quick to put them on a pedestal. That's all I got to say. One album does not mean civil rights leader. It's less. Because we have no one.
College dropout still gets played, okay?
Oh my God.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. Oh my goodness. Oh man, it was a good album.
There were some hitters on it. I mean, I gotta say, separate. It's really funny though, because there's also that expression of separating the art from the artist.
Right.
I can look at a Kanye album and be like, dude, that's a beautiful track, and still know that guy was a complete loon. At no point am I gonna be like, let me make him the leader of my entire community. No.
I mean, we were kind of saying a lot, like you're saying, we shouldn't do this to musicians, but a lot of the times we do. Like R. Kelly was the leader at one point of the king of R&B, but obviously there was signs in his art as well as the artist. So
as a member,
my mind is telling me no.
Yeah. Stop doing that. From the black nerdy section of the community, stop doing that crap, please.
But you know
Right.
what?